The anticipation for Stranger Things Season 5 has been a slow-burning fire, fanned by years of delays, cryptic teasers, and the inescapable pull of Hawkins' upside-down mysteries. As the final chapter in the Duffer Brothers' genre-defining saga, Volume 1 of this installment promises to tie up loose ends with the emotional heft of an epic farewell. But before viewers dive into the nostalgia-laced terror on Netflix, co-creator Ross Duffer has issued a clarion call that's equal parts technical tutorial and passionate plea. Recalibrate your television settings, or risk undermining the very artistry that has made the series a phenomenon. In a succinct Instagram post, Ross warns against the garbage presets that plague modern screens, urging fans to disable features that could sabotage the intended viewing experience. It's a reminder that in an era of hyper-optimized tech, the line between enhancement and distortion is razor-thin, and for a show as visually meticulous as Stranger Things, it's a line worth guarding fiercely. At its core, Ross's advice stems from a deep-seated commitment to the cinematic integrity of the series. Stranger Things has always been more than jump scares and synth scores. It's a love letter to 1980s genre filmmaking, evoking the grainy warmth of Spielbergian suburbia and the shadowy dread of Carpenter-esque horror. The Duffers, Ross and brother Matt, have poured their fandom into every frame, collaborating with cinematographers like Tim Ives to craft a world where practical effects, practical lighting and practical emotions reign supreme. Season 5, filming its final stretches in Atlanta, doubles down on this ethos, with sprawling sets recreating Hawkins' beleaguered streets and the upside-down's pulsating otherworldliness. But all that labor can unravel in an instant if your TV decides to help with artificial boosts. A little PSA before you watch tonight. I want to make sure that your TVs are set up properly. Ross begins his post, his tone a blend of urgency and camaraderie, as if whispering secrets to a fellow Demogorgon hunter. The culprits he identifies are insidious, lurking in the default menus of OLEDs, CLEDs, and everything in between. Dynamic contrast, for starters, is a beast that auto-adjusts brightness and shadow levels scene by scene, often crushing blacks into inky voids or blowing out highlights into washed-out glows. It's designed for sports broadcasts or lurid action flicks, but in Stranger Things, where Vecna's tendrils creep from subtle gloom, it flattens the tension. Super resolution sharpens edges algorithmically, inserting artificial detail that turns Eleven's telekinetic fury into a pixelated cartoon. Edge enhancement outlines objects like a bad comic book filter, eroding the organic softness of the show's practical fog and practical blood. And color filters? They oversaturate palettes, turning the neon pinks of arcade scenes into garish candy while muting the earthy tones of the buyer's cluttered home. But the true villains, Ross declares, are noise reduction and true motion smoothing, monikers that vary by brand but deliver the same sin, the dreaded soap opera effect. This phenomenon, born from TVs interpolating extra frames to mimic 60 Hz smoothness, robs footage of its deliberate cinematic pulse. Shot at 24 frames per second, the gold standard for film, the series relies on that subtle judder to evoke vintage VHS tapes and drive-in double features. Activate motion smoothing, and suddenly Max's bike chases glide like a detergent commercial, the raw urgency of a mind flayer attack dissolved into fluid unreality. Whatever you do, do not switch anything on vivid, because it's gonna turn on all the worst offenders. It's gonna destroy the color, and it's not the filmmaker's intent, Ross emphasizes, his words a manifesto for purists who crave the Duffer's vision unadulterated. To unpack why this matters, consider the evolution of Stranger Things as a visual feast. Season 1 burst onto Netflix in 2016 with a lo-fi charm. Kids on BMX bikes against overcast Indiana skies, Christmas lights flickering as portals to peril. The palette was desaturated, shadows long and lingering, a nod to E.T. and the Goonies. By Season 2 the scope expanded, neon-soaked arcades, pumpkin patches under harvest moons, but the Duffers clung to filmic roots, using anamorphic lenses for that signature lens flare and shallow depth of field. Season 3 amped the satire with mall culture gloss, yet retained the grit of practical stunts and animatronic monsters. Season 4, the penultimate, went epic. Russian gulags, California sun-bleached beaches, and Vecna's Victorian hauntings, all lensed in 8K for intricate detail. Now, Season 5 closes the loop, promising a return to intimate horrors and heartfelt goodbyes, with rumors of time-bending twists and ensemble showdowns that demand every nuance of light and shadow. Ross's intervention isn't pedantic, it's protective. In a streaming landscape where algorithms prioritize bingeability over artistry, viewers often default to plug-and-play modes that prioritize punch over precision. Vivid mode, that siren song of showroom demos, cranks everything to 11, literally in this case, sacrificing subtlety for spectacle. Colors bleed. The Hellfire Club's red dice pop unnaturally, while Joyce's phone cord anxiety loses its tactile warmth. The soap opera effect is particularly egregious for horror, where deliberate pacing builds dread, smooth it out, and the uncanny valley flattens into banal suburbia. Fans, Ross knows, are invested, not just in plot threads like Will's unspoken burdens or Dustin's grief, but in the sensory immersion that makes Hawkins feel lived in, the upside down a tactile nightmare. Implementing his tips is straightforward, a 5-minute ritual before hitting play. Start with your TV's picture settings menu. On Samsung's, it's under Expert Settings. Sony's call it Cinema Pro. Toggle off dynamic contrast for consistent black levels. Aim for a movie or filmmaker mode preset, certified by the UHD Alliance to honor creator specs. Disable super resolution and edge enhancement to preserve native sharpness. Let the show's 4K master shine without digital interference. Noise reduction? Off unless you're watching on a low-res feed. Stranger Things is pristine, and grain adds texture to those upside-down spores. Motion smoothing is the kill switch. Rename it soap opera effect in your mind and banish it. 4-color, stick to warm standards like Rec. 709, avoiding the filtered extremes that turn Barb's poolside demise into a cartoon splash. If your set supports calibration tools like Calman software, even better. Otherwise, Ross's basics suffice.